with some questions in a little bit. Blake Clinton was scheduled to be with us today. He had a family emergency, and so I'm just going to handle this on my own. And we do have a couple of interesting things to talk about. First, let's do a little housekeeping and talk about what's going on in the world out there with Satterwhite right this weekend. And one of the reasons Sam's not with us, he's on the road. He's someplace, I believe, in Mississippi. He may have crossed into the Alabama line right now on his way to this event that's taking place in our LJ office this weekend, as you can see, the Blue Ridge Parade of Homes. So, it's bound to be that spectacular, beautiful time of year in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. And so if you're in that part of the country, if in our the Satterwhite model home in LJ is absolutely fabulous, we'd love to see you over there this weekend. Sam, I think Jeff McKinney, our Chris Crump, who is always in that office in LJ. They'll all be there and be glad to talk to you and answer your questions a lot better than I can, I'll tell you that. But all right, so here we are back in the control booth here at Satterwhite Live. Let me read the Sam Satterwhite has written a statement of beliefs because he's as concerned about our country as most of us are. We at Satterwhite Log Homes are Christians. We're not ashamed of our faith. We kneel to God only and to no man. We love America. We stand proudly for the pledge and for our national anthem. We are proud of our flag, our military, our law enforcement, and our first responders. We revere our founding fathers and our Constitution. We will fight to the death for our families, our country, and our God. So, those of you who have watched this show know Sam's character, and I think get a feel for the character of the company as well as time goes on. So I'll tell you what precipitated this episode today, and the idea of having a. Let me see if I can give my best effort. I really did want to have interaction with everybody in the chat, and I don't know why it's not allowing it. Okay, maybe I am seeing a little chat here. Sam, I believe, is watching on his cell phone. He said something about Tricia Howard and Philip Walker are watching, and I see Vicki Croston. I'm glad you can hear me, Vicki, because my audio monitoring here in the studio, we're just winging it, and that didn't work out. So we're glad to see you. Anybody on YouTube, I'll try to keep an eye on that as well. One of our big goals with Satterwhite Live has been to have more interactivity so that you guys can join in the conversation as we expose everybody in the log home industry to you and give you access to the people who really know this product, this lifestyle, everything about it, inside and out. And so I will be, these iPads I've just discovered since I'm doing this are not streaming the comments in quite the way that I expected to, so I'm having to touch them. They're not interrupting or popping up. Anyway, we've got to learn to do this stuff. But that said, the incident that precipitated this episode today, we had a complaint, and somebody went on Google and gave us a 1-star rating. Boy, that gets our attention. And isn't that awful? We're going to take we're going to go public with, even though I'm going to just show you guys a little bit of what goes on in Google. And we weren't even aware too much of this part of Google's. I think that they're trying to compete. Every time they see somebody be successful, some idea like Yelp or ratings, what restaurants you like, that kind of thing, Google steps in with a product. And they've got something called Google My Business, and we weren't really watching that. But I'm going to take you guys right into our control interface because I had to learn to do this because we were notified that we had a bad rating. And let me get over there so that I control this browser window for you with you guys, and so that we can look at this together. So all kinds of things, and I haven't even looked around this much because, of course, what drew me into this past week was the fact that we were notified that someone had given us a bad rating. Now, don't get the idea that that everybody hates us, because overall they haven't even started dimming that top star. But we don't have tons of reviews. I think that we probably should, people should be encouraged, and we would appreciate customers going in and doing reviews. So there's only 28 reviews here, and we've got a 4.5 star, but they haven't even dimmed that 5 stars, so it must be shaded pretty close. But I'm gonna look at the a couple of these things today, and I'm in a different spot. Goodness, isn't it horrible to watch somebody work the internet over their shoulder? We had a gentleman write in, and he is an actual customer, and wrote a pretty scalding, had a bad experience with us, and I ordered a material package earlier this week and was told that it would be 4 to 6 weeks, and it took 15 weeks. I understand that wood shortages, but I'm going to read a little bit of his message here. I understand wood shortages, but the communication was non-existent. I would call for periodic updates, and the salesman, he said, would dodge his calls and not return his calls, and that sort of those sort of issue, and then it came down to the core of his grievance was he had a lot of material left over, and he wanted to return it, and driving distances and so forth. Of course, these things are exposed to the public, and if you want to read all the details, I'm not glossing over anything here. But I just wanted to read what Sam wrote a reply to this fella. Because this gentleman did get a hold of Sam Satterwhite. The Sam that Mr. Higley, that called Mr. Higley this afternoon was me. The customer had referred to talking to a Sam. I'm getting distracted trying to watch comments on the YouTube streams and all. And I'm going to read. The Sam that called the customer this afternoon was me, the company owner. After apologizing profusely over the time taken to produce his order and the seeming lack of concern by my salesperson, I explained that his sales ticket clearly states that lumber products cannot be returned or refunded, but Brett had broken our policy in trying to accommodate the customer by telling him we would refund payment for returned product. I further explained that the customer or his contractor is responsible for approving any quantity estimate we might make. COVID and raw material supply problems, coupled with record high lumber prices increasing daily and record orders has taken this year have created a perfect storm situation for us. When Brett can't give a reasonable update, he generally doesn't. Yes, communication can and should always be better. Yes, we appreciate our customers and strive to meet and exceed their expectations. This has been a year of a lot of firsts, and some of them are not good. After 45 years in business, I take dissatisfied customers very seriously. Well, I'll tell you that internally here, we've had a lot of discussions, and we are all humbled in the trust placed in us, and we are more grateful than ever for your business. So that said, I thought that I would talk a little bit about our contract. Let me see if I can dim the screen here. We'll come back to this in a minute, perhaps. Maybe come back because this is the material bill of lading where customers pick up material, and probably this bold type right there, all lumber sales are final. Lumber products cannot be returned or exchanged. And, what that's about is if you understand the type product that we sell, if we didn't do that, everybody would buy tons too much material, and then they would pick and select. Just the reality of wood. Wood is a natural product, and so it goes through every piece of wood, whether Satterwhite's the manufacturer or not. Satterwhite house logs go through a stringent grading process, so that wood has been used for thousands of years by mankind. It is the #1 building material in history. So the performance characteristics of wood are very well known. So in Satterwhite house logs, you will see checking, which is the industry term for, a consumer would call it a crack. But those cracks are measured, and they're in certain angles towards the heartwood. It goes through, we don't make those definitions of what is structural. We subscribe to a service called Timber Products Inspection, and they define this for the entire house log industry. Now, Satterwhite carries a phenomenal selection of specialty woods that people use besides house logs. And so the specialty woods are all optional because it comes into home decorating, and people, it comes down to your taste. Do you want drywall? Do you want textured drywall? What kind of color schemes? What kind of colors of woods? We carry, but we do offer we search North America, the little bitty sawmills out there, for the unique character woods that will never be produced in quantities that they will ever be carried by the big mass market lumberyards and retailers. So most people come to us to decorate that home. Those of you who will be in LJ this weekend just marvel at how gorgeous that office is, or any of our offices when you have a chance to visit. But these specialty woods, and the interesting thing about the specialty woods is, even though they are unique and they're the character woods, they're incredibly beautiful. They're not necessarily more expensive than the things that you would go get in the dimensional lumber, and because our products are usually those little small stands of timber, or little small those more unique products are not industrial forestry like most of the dimensional lumber in lumberyards and retailers. So they're mined by little family businesses that dot the map all out through the Rocky Mountains or wherever in the world. Those unique character woods, we have a huge spectrum. And so they're produced necessarily in limited quantities in very sustainable ways. The families have been in, many of these little sawmills have been in business for multiple generations. In fact, I'd bet most of them have. And these woods, all of these woods are graded by certain standards. And we have and each one of those particular species of specialty woods that we carry have special characteristics. So one of the most popular for sure is aspen, because it's a very light colored wood. It just looks gorgeous. I mean, it's just used, lots of people, it's just part of the character of a modern log home. But we know this about aspen, that it tends to be a little less dimensionally stable than what the commercial forestry industry, who are literally raising across the entire south of the United States a single species of tree it's almost like cattle. The genetics of it are optimized for making straight boards that somebody's just going to cover up with sheetrock, where we're wanting this character wood that's shown, that is going to be visible in your home. It's going to be beautiful, but we know that there are some issues with it. So part of the reason that this all lumber sales or final situation is because you will buy more of those materials, because we know there's going to be a little more waste because of the characteristics. That doesn't mean it's not graded or that we're selling junk. That's certainly not the case. It's just the character of this species or that species. And so we're going to make some allowances, and so basically the lumber sales have to be final, because otherwise everybody would pick through the most perfect pieces of lumber and bring back, we'd have to chip it into sawdust. It'd just create a problem for us, really. So it's just a known characteristic of the wood. The wood is graded. We think that it's good, but we know that it doesn't have 100% yield. So your salesman will tell you all those details. I hope I'm not getting into too much information like I always do. Let me see if there's any questions out there. Wow, lots of people. Mark Huff, glad that you're with us. Phil Fowler and Jesse Fowler. I guess you got Monty Pinson are watching. Courtney, let me see if I can read this. I'll probably mangle people's names. Courtney Abramson, glad you're with us. Regina McIntosh and Robert Reynolds. He's one of our drivers. Kay, goodness Kay, I'm not even going to take a run at your last name, but I'm glad you're watching. And Aaron Hooper. I'm not seeing any questions on Facebook, but that was the situation that I thought that we would talk about today. Now I'm going to jump back into Google My Business. And boy, when I found out about Google My Business, when we got one bad review and I started scanning back through here, a couple other things that maybe we talk up, because your expectations, and when we say we want to have, okay, we did get a question. Thank you, Robin. Robin Greer asked, my current home has knotty pine throughout and was originally built in the late 1800s. Would it be possible to salvage this wood and use it when we build our new home? And I think that probably the answer is yes. Of course, I have no idea, but I've seen lots of, one of the design things that has happened with log homes a lot in recent years is people have been using barn wood and going for distressed woods. That's another factor in what we do. When I say that we don't have great yield, this is a paradox maybe of log homes, but a lot of people who are building log homes are not seeking that, they want that character. That character wood is beautiful. Those old barn woods, that gets a great look in homes. We have furniture built here at Satterwhite out of distressed woods. So this old knotty pine, yes, you'll need to calculate how much you've got and realize that you won't get 100% utilization. But we see people all the time who build their log home, and they might take a piece of, not just, you can buy reclaimed wood out there on the salvage market because people are seeking that character. But they'll take their own granddad's farm or barn or their grandparents' house and bring those woods forward into their log home. And, there's something special about that, to have a piece of your family's history in your home. If you're in a situation like that and it appeals to you and it matches what you're doing with your home, that's a wonderful thing to do. But speaking again to this issue of character woods, a lot of the times the wood that people are seeking because they prefer it in a log home is actually not that number one grade that the timber industry is looking for. So we probably offer a lot of grades because people are actually seeking those character that, the timber industry might call it a flaw, but it's beautiful. So that helps with the price, all these factors. So don't get the idea that these products that Satterwhite carries are some kind of a plastic material that we've got a aspen extrusion machine and we put in some kind of, like Play-Doh, one of those Play-Doh presses in the back, and we just make it. That was the situation that we got into earlier this year in scheduling and getting timber from a vendor. We hate it when customers are disappointed. And we hate that we let this gentleman down, and we got dinged on Google My Business for it. I'm going to look at, let me see if I've got anybody else's. Robin, thanks for that question. Mary Tipton Shivers is watching. Stephen Gillard. Chris Crump. Oh, Chris Crump is our salesman in the LJ Georgia office. He will be at the Blue Ridge Parade of Homes this weekend. Yeah, Robin says, yeah. Wow, her grandfather, this wood that she's wanting to put in her log home, her grandfather salvaged it himself from an old mining drugstore and built her current home in 1943. That is so neat. So, wow. Yeah, anything, those kind of things. Isn't that wonderful that you know the story behind your home and that special wall or that special place or, yeah, that's what makes log homes maybe much more unique than just any old house, isn't it? So I'm going to go real quick. Let me glance at the clock because I get going too long. And we've already gone over 20 minutes here. I'm not hearing anything. You know, we need to do something to build our YouTube audience a little bit. So I'm watching you guys. If any of y'all want to join in the chat, I think I've got it enabled. But let me just touch on, if we don't have any more questions on Facebook, let's jump back into Google My Business. And I just wanted to maybe address a couple of situations back here. Because after that one incident, we had somebody else give us a bad review. And look at this. I mean, of course, we've got near 5-star review overall. Even with we've got a few dings in there. And look at all these people with the 5-star reviews. And if I was any kind of a decent guy, I would read those. But of course, you obsess about the people who are not happy. And or for whatever reason. But I did run into a couple of situations here. These at the bottom of the page, you might see a couple of people who gave us 1-star reviews. This company uses a builder in Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia area that does not use properly licensed contractors and has left at least 2 homes unfinished and writes bad checks to subcontractors. Sam Satterwhite should be made aware of this. I'll guarantee you he is aware of this. And there might be a little bit of a misconception there. Let's just address that. And I'll say this about both of these fellas here who have given us the 1 and the 2-star reviews is we keep extensive records because that's part of keeping your word to people. When this is not a little bitty company, and it's not every conversation isn't with Sam. So we have a great many guys who have been with us a long time in sales, and days like today where we got a bunch of people heading over to the Blue Ridge Mountains to the Blue Ridge Parade of Homes. Their customers will be calling, and we have to keep track of what we say to people. So we use a customer. Anyway, we've got a lot of people. We've got a record-keeping system that stretches back decades. And so I have looked at both of these names who posted poor reviews on our Google My Business, and I have no evidence that our company has ever taken a single phone call from them. And this one fella here posted that we use builders in certain states there, and it's almost like a boilerplate. I found that he also made another 5-star review at one of our major competitors there in the eastern part of the United States with almost the exact same verbiage. So make of that what you will about whether he, I can't tell. I wish there was a way for us to contact him. I spent probably 2 hours yesterday trying to figure out how to contact these people, and Google My Business doesn't provide a way other than us posting in public. So if either of you guys happen to ever see this, please call us because we took it public before we said anything. But there's a misconception in that we use a builder in eastern Tennessee and Georgia. So let me give you a little bit of background into the Satterwhite referral process. When you're wanting to build a home someplace, we have built Sam said last week on the Satterwhite Live, he says, we've probably built close to 20,000. I think 19,000 was the number of homes he named. Well, about 30 years ago, we did a tally and determined it was way more than that, but we backed it off to 19,000 about 30 years ago because we didn't want to be exaggerating. But the numbers are big. It's like we're like McDonald's. We had to quit putting how many we've served on our sign. The numbers are big, but easy to say, many homes in virtually every state. If there's a state that we haven't built in, my guess would be maybe Hawaii. But considering that there's Satterwhite homes all over the world, and a huge density in the South Central United States, we've got a lot of experience on these things. So when we recommend a builder, it's not that we hire that builder. They're not working for us. What that means to us is that builder, another customer's used them and they liked them. We would never wish any builder on you that would not make you happy. We don't like problems. We like things to go smooth. We almost give too many warnings because we've been down this road before. We don't like when our customers, we like to avoid pitfalls and things to come in on time, on budget, everybody be the best of friends. And I think that if you read our reviews overall, that's what you're going to see. So these are exceptional deals. Now, when we do that recommendation, Satterwhite is not going out and vetting the license and whether the guy's kept his license current or his licensing in every jurisdiction in the whole United States. We're just saying this guy has been active in your area. You should check him out. So when you hire those subcontractors, I mean, we're just facilitating communication from other customers because we've got this vast experience. And so usually, and almost anywhere you choose to build in the United States, we know of somebody who's made somebody else happy. We relay that along. But you should vet your own contractors yourself. I mean, things change over time, and you definitely attend our seminar with Sam sometime. You definitely want somebody who's paying their bills and avoiding all those pitfalls of somebody creating situations where a lien might be created on your house. And it gets into a lot of detail, but we wouldn't recommend anyone that we knew were having problems, but we don't go out and vet them in their current situation. It's just we give you the best advice that we have in our possession, and then hopefully you have a great experience. You do your homework and make sure, and that guy takes care of you wonderfully. And it's just like these Google My Business reviews. The guys who take time to write something, we have tons of people, and these are not our family members. I'll tell you that. These are not people that we hang out with day in and day out. They give us 5-star reviews, but the people who take time to write have some grievance of this way or that, even though I can't tell what that grievance may be in the two here that gave these 2 reviews. I think I've talked too long. Let me scan this last guy's. Yeah, guys, delivery dates. If you're getting into a situation where delivery dates are critical, and our guys are telling you that we don't have it in stock, then our best estimate is our best estimate. There's a whole supply chain, and Satterwhite is not the manufacturer of all these things. So all these little mills have their priorities. Like the guys who, one of our primary sources for aspen lumber, one of the other products that their sawmill generates, and I don't know how important it is to their business, but I suspect it may be the greater part of their business, is aspen is used for something called Excelsior. And that's a kind of a throwback term, but Excelsior is the material that's used in swamp cooler fans. And we're having a hot summer. Maybe they've got a lot of demands, and people in a lot of the western United States is very temperate, and they don't have air conditioning on their homes. If they get a hot season, they can things happen. Things happen. So believe me, Satterwhite, we do everything we can to meet our delivery obligations and to stay things, but these things are pretty much manufactured to order. This is a custom home, and so these things don't exist. Even your house logs, we don't keep huge inventories of every log profile. We've got log yards, and we convert them to the products as demand rises for those things. So anyway, I'm not here making an excuse for when we blow it. There's certainly times when we do, and we are profoundly sorry when we fail to make anybody less than totally satisfied. So anybody we've wronged out there, we're certainly sorry. Let me see if I can. I'm just talking away and just leaving that web page rolling. You know, Google My Business is public, and you guys can read it for yourself. I think yeah, we'd love you to make some comments there if you've got something to add. I'm going to take one last glance. Demi, maybe more last names. Wow. Yeah, Sam wrote. I mean, yeah. We had some of those criticisms that, you know, I told him when I uncovered all that I had spent hours searching for any evidence that we had ever had any interaction whatsoever. And some of those names are very common. And so we had, like I say, we're closing in on over 1 million people that we've talked to over the years. And it takes time to read through that and to say, well, this person's lodging a complaint in Alabama or whatever state, and try to figure out. I don't find his name. Maybe, you know, I just can't find or figure who this might be. But we tried. We really did try, and we're going to reach out if we could identify him. Kimberly, Sandra Longbow, I'm listening to their live today if you wanted to listen. Okay, somebody, thanks for the referral. Sandra Fenton Pazig? Sorry, I'm no. If y'all want to have fun with us when we get going with this social, you'll that's the thing that scares me the worst, is trying to speak people's names. Philip Walker, I appreciate y'all letting the public know about the bad reviews. It just goes to show that you are an honest company, and do believe in the statement that at the beginning of the video. I'm glad I'm getting my log home from y'all. We appreciate that, Philip. Carol Bagley is watching you. Scott McClure. Scott, they didn't type that in. Scott, Bob Ewing, Brooke McDowell. Brooke is in our accounting department here at Satterwhite. Okay. Robin Lee. Look, guys, thanks everyone who's been here with us live. We're working towards better interaction, and hopefully in the near future, Sam will be able to take questions live or see the chat and get you guys participating. I know that when I'm dealing with vendors that I deal with back on this computer behind me yesterday, I logged into a session with a web developer, a guy who, a software developer, really. And he's gotten to know me. And the first thing he said, we greeted it was a Zoom session, so my camera was on, and he says, Danny Grizzle's had his ears lowered. Well, yes, I have. I had my granddaughters give me a haircut in Yellowstone National Park in July, and that got a little old. I think I've scalped myself here a little bit. But anyway, I bought some clippers off Amazon, and I cut my own hair this week. Hey, all right, thanks for being with us, and we're sure thankful for your viewership here on Satterwhite Live and for your continued interest in this company. We're not we're not under any illusion about how important customers are, and we're grateful for every one of you who take time to know that we exist and who give us an opportunity to serve your family. And hopefully we can help you realize your log home dream. Thank you.